and welcome to my studio. I'm Josee and this is the Knit Up and Dye podcast, episode 32, Stop and Go. Thank you. I have seen a huge boost in subscribers recently. Welcome. I'm thrilled that you've joined me. If you're new, please pop in, say hello, tell me what you're looking for, and if you've been with me all along, thank you for staying with me. Certainly, as always, this is about you. Like, subscribe, and tell me what you want to see. General reminders. We're going to start off with some administration. The giveaway on Instagram is worth over $110. I showed it to you guys last week. It is a project bag. It is a needle holder. It is stitch markers. It is a progress keeper. It is wonderful. It also contains 2 skeins of my yarn. Huge thanks to Donna at Knitting with Attitude for donating the bag and all the other little goodies for us. If you want to see it, hop on over to Instagram. It's under my profile. It's easy to win. It's easy to enter. There is only one winner. So definitely get over there and get your entry in. We will be drawing a winner next week's podcast. Oh my goodness. Also, my anniversary sale is still going on. Use coupon code MADNESS35 over in my Etsy shop and get 35% off your entire order of yarn. There's also flash sales happening every once in a while. I pop it up on Instagram, so be sure you follow me over there. And sometimes there's added goodies. You still get to use that coupon code and get the 35% off, but if you hit it during a flash sale, there's bonuses, so be watching out for that. There's a giveaway happening over on the DogDare podcast. If you remember a couple weeks back, I had designed a yarn that I didn't name, and I have donated it over to him. He just posted his podcast calling for entries to win the yarn, and all you have to do is name the colorway, and he'll be drawing randomly from that. Do pop over, take a look at his podcast. He's wonderful. He's so enjoyable to watch, and it's a fun giveaway, all based on the Bates Motel series. So if you have a darker side, go check out and see what's going on over there. I have winners, plural, that I need to announce. I'm very excited. The response I had to my Name My Friend contest was really great. I saw some really wonderful names, but in the end, a gentleman only needs so many names. And I'm very proud to introduce to you, this is Wolfred Lambert, but everybody just calls him Stitch. And he's very excited to have a name, and in the future he's going to be helping me out with some mail bag things. So thank you to Quiet Descent, to Rachel and to Nancy for their winning suggestions, and I'll be in touch with you guys about prizes. I know, right? Prizes. We like prizes. So thank you all very much for your participation, and there'll be more in the future. Week in review. It's been a busy week. My sweater. So this is my second sweater in my journey to getting over my sweater curse. And I'm finding that I have a new curse. My new curse not being so much that I can't find a shape that I like or that I can't get it to fit me. That no longer seems to be the issue. I've kind of gotten past that. I've found the mechanisms and the techniques I needed to get beyond that. My new curse is I have a tendency to improvise too quickly without plotting ahead, which is really shameful coming from a pattern designer. I generally look at it start to finish, and I haven't been great about that this time. And that's not to say that there's a problem yet. I think the reason that I'm stalled on this is because I feel like a problem is going to happen, and I need to set aside time and sit down and really figure out if in fact a problem is going to happen or whether I'm on the right path or not. And I simply haven't had the time where my mind was in the right place to sit down and focus on this and give it the attention it deserved. And I know that if I rush into it, I'm going to end up with bad answers, and I don't want to do that. I've got some time coming up in the next week. The idea is that I will be able to sit down, find my knitting zen, relax, and sort out what's really going on before I can make some progress, and then I'll be able to make some progress. But here's my sweater, for those of you that may not already be familiar with what's going on, what am I talking about. This is my Tequila Sunrise sweater. It is the Laurie sweater pattern, and I just love these colors. I've done an intentional colorway bleed from a variegation down into a solid, and it's this lovely texture pattern. It's really wonderful. It's a boat neck. I've modified it to narrow in the neck a little bit because I'd like to be able to wear it without wearing anything under it, and I'm not a big fan of having bra straps hanging out. And it's a drop sleeve, a drop shoulder sleeve. Where am I hung up? I'm hung up here. I'm hung up on this sleeve. And I don't have a lot done, so I can't have gotten too far wrong yet. Haha. The hang up is that I modified not only the boat neck to narrow it a little bit, but I modified how deep the sleeve is. Just because I wanted to fit my body and I need a deeper sleeve than what the pattern called for. So I picked up more stitches than what the pattern called for. And I'm doing the sleeve reduction at this point. I'm knitting and I'm decreasing as you go down to the wrist. I don't know that I paid close attention. I know exactly how many stitches I picked up. I need to figure out, I need to review what the length of my sleeve is, what my end stitch count should be, and what I need to do to get to that stitch count. My concern being that because I picked up more stitches and because I haven't necessarily recalculated my reductions, I may end up with a very long sleeve, or I may reach sleeve length and have too big a wrist going on. So I'm going to recheck this before I go much further because I don't want to rip back. Number one, who likes to rip back? And I want to have a positive end result because I love this. I'm very excited about wearing this. I've got some events coming up this fall that I'd love to have it available for. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And once I have this done, oh, this is going to bang out, and I'm going to be so excited because it's just going to be done, and you'll see me doing the happy dance with my new sweater on. If I can tolerate putting it on long enough to show you guys, because I live in the desert, New Mexico, and the temperatures, as you can tell by my attire today, are already climbing. So the stall here is really a psychological stall. I don't want to get in deeper than I already am and make bad mistakes. That's that. To that end, you don't have to calculate a sleeve reduction on your own. If you're trying to shorten a sleeve or lengthen a sleeve and you still want to have the taper be right, there are some fabulous calculators online for that where you enter in the beginning stitch count, the end stitch count, and the distance that you have based either on your gauge or how many rows you're going to work. And I will list, not only here on the screen, it's a really long address, one of the calculators that I love. I'll also have it in the credits at the end, and I will have it in my show notes, which are usually tucked. I list them on Ravelry in my group, and I also list them in the under information on YouTube. So check that out. Great resource. I've used it repeatedly for other things. There are some fabulous calculators out there. Do a search, look around. There are calculators for tapering the tops of hats, for sweater calculations, for sock, everything. They're really wonderful. There are some very clever mathematicians out there that have provided us some fabulous free resources online. All right, that's the sweater. Pardon me, I'm sipping from my pineapple infused water because it's dry out here. Marching forward. So although that is stalled, I have had fabulous success on my How to Knit an Elephant blanket. All of my knitting energy in the evenings has been put on into that. And since I did the math and figured out it was going to take me 59 years to finish it, I really have a new zest for it. I have a new excitement for it. And I'm working aggressively on it. This may be temporary, but at least something's getting done, and I'm excited about that. So let me show you what I did. Let's see if I can sort out where I am. So this is it upright, and this past week I finished, I gotta check my notes real quick to be sure I know what I'm talking about. I finished 13 squares this week. 13. I did this entire row here, and then I tell a lie. I did all but 2 of these squares on this row here, and then I did this section here. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm more excited about it than ever. I've been able to incorporate some new yarns in here that are new scraps to the project, including this really vibrant purple-blue scrap right here, which you may recognize from my opening sequence. That little swatch that I knit and I dyed to introduce the podcast is commemorated right there. There it is. That's the swatch I'll torn back out and re-knit into my blanket. And it's such a positive memory for me. I love doing this. I love reaching out to you guys. I love having a private conversation with you and discussing our knitting and hanging out for that little bit of time, whether you get to knit now, just have a cup of coffee in the morning while you run out the door and find a little bit of peace, or if you're looking for techniques that you can learn and projects to do. This is special time for me, and I hope it's special time for you as well. And I've put it right here in my memory blanket so I remember always that I love this and I got to do it with you. So yay, forever, I love this. It's growing, which is the whole point of it. And I still have this wild idea that I'm going to do 576 squares, and the bigger it grows, the more I think I'm really going to do that size. The bigger it gets, the more I think, oh, you know, a lap blanket's nice, but I want something magnificent. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it. And as we get close to the end, we'll see what I'm really doing. I did have a viewer reach out to me and say, I saw that you keep your blanket in a basket, and I want to know more about the basket. Absolutely. Please, write into me, ask me these questions. This is what I'm keeping my How to Eat an Elephant blanket in. I'm sorry, my skylight is giving me weird lighting. Let's set it over here so you can see it and the duck out of the way. This is a coil basket. This basket is a nice big guy. It's got handles on it. And this was made by Harbor House Baskets. Nancy over there is very talented. She does these with calico fabrics in all kinds of colors. This one happens to be a more solid color, but she has some fantastic colors that are mixed, vibrant tones. Some of them are more subtle and sedate, but there is a huge collection of baskets over there. I have a bunch of them. She's my mom. I have to love her. I do love her. And it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. But really, truly useful. I have her baskets everywhere. I have them in my kitchen. I have them here with projects stuffed in them. I have some in my bathroom holding toiletries and organizing stuff there. I love them, and they are sturdy, they are rugged and convenient. Certainly pop on over to Harbor House Baskets, take a look, they're fabulous. Okay, so that's the basket, that's the project. It's going along fabulously. I'm excited about it. If you are just tuning in now and you want to know more about the How to Eat an Elephant blanket, it is a formula that I'm following. It is a mitered square, add it as you go kind of project, modular, but it's not individual little pieces that you then have to sew together. You pick up and you continue on it. And all of my notes on how I'm constructing mine are on Ravelry on my project page, and it is the How to Eat an Elephant blanket. That's what I've named it. It is a cozy memories blanket, And with mine, I've done a particular difference to it where I'm including black frames around each color, and it just kind of gives it a neat stained glass effect and really makes each of those sock yarns pop and stand out on their own. Certainly it doesn't have to be a sock yarn blanket. If you've got a bunch of worsted weight scraps kicking around, make yourself a blanket, make something wonderful that is just full of memories for you. So not this past week, the week before, I cast on the Curiosity scarf again. It is a pattern by Barbara Benson. It is a paid for pattern. And I had knit it once before for myself, and I knit it using the Knit Picks Chroma fingering. My last one I did in their paperback colorway. This one I'm doing in, am I going to be able to find the label for you? Oh goodness, forgive me. There it is. This one is in their Sandstone colorway. I should remember this by now. The Knit Picks Chroma fingering is a twisted single. It is fingering weight. It's 70% wool, 30% nylon, and it's a tonal. So they, forgive me, it's not a tonal, it's a gradient. So they're transitioning from color to color over long distances so that you get a huge variety in the color as you go along. Last week I showed you my progress, and I had done from the cast on tip here down to my stitch marker here. And forgive me, I'm trying to span it out so you can see it. And this is a piece that starts really narrow and grows as you go. I put my stitch marker, my progress marker in here so that I could see my progress this week, and it has been really big progress. I got a lot done. There's well over a foot here. And you can see the colors as they've started to undulate through the different varieties. I was concerned about this. I'm knitting it for my mom. It's a gift. And it's going to be a belated Mother's Day gift. Obviously, it's Mother's Day and here I am still knitting it. She loves me, she understands. But I had chosen a colorway for her in colors that she wanted. And we had talked about browns, we had talked about khakis, and the description on the website and the picture that I was looking at indicated that those colors were in there. However, when I got the ball of yarn, which comes like this, I'm using this as a center pull, when I looked down in it, I saw what appeared to be kind of a purpley orchid, and that's just not a color that she wanted. It wasn't a color that I wanted in it. And I was concerned about that. I was legitimately concerned about it, that it just wasn't going to look nice, or that it was going to contain color that wasn't interesting to her. And if you look really, really carefully, maybe the camera will pick it up, it's right here in this. It's also, let's see if I can match it up. It's also right here in this. I've been through the first transition of it. Right here. It doesn't look like that when it's knit up. It really comes out more like a light mauve. It's not as disruptive as it looks when it's in the ball. And I think it's because when it's wrapped up in the ball here, it's against the more green tones and it's against the really brown tones, and it's just all grouped together. So it looks really harsh. It looks like a big transition. But when you put it in the whole blend like this, it doesn't stand out like that, and it's a very small section in reality. I think when it's all done and she actually is wearing it, it won't be an issue. I don't think that the purple will be against her skin and that it will look purple. Like I said, it really is coming out much more of a browny mauve. I like it. I'm excited. I think this is really going to be beautiful. They've changed up how they're doing their, what do I want to call this? They've changed up how they're doing their yarns, and it looks like they are, instead of transitioning from A to B to C to D to A, they're transitioning from A to B to C to D to C to B to A. They're going reciprocal back instead of in a circle. So the colors are landing differently than they did in my previous project, and they're reciprocating back. If you look here, the greener tone went into the sand, into this chocolate, into the sand, and back to this green again. It's just a different look. I knew that they had made a change to how they were making them. I don't mind it. It's one of those things that it depends on your project and what your thought process is and what you want. I think it's very pretty. So now you know about that. Again, this is a long transition colorway, and it is available at Knit Picks, and very affordable, very reasonably priced products, and generally very high quality. I haven't had any issues with this ball. I haven't had any sharp transitions or knots or anything of the sort. I would recommend it. This is my second project using the chroma fingering, and I like it. My thing this week, so I was working away on this. My husband's been driving our morning commute for us to give me some extra knitting time, so I've got a half hour, 45 minutes every morning that I get to work on this, which is why I have so much done. I do knit it as well during my lunch breaks at work. And this past week, I was at my lunch break and I was getting ready to do, there's an increase every so many rows. And there's one type of increase at one point and a different type of increase at a different point. So I'm using another row marker to tell me what row I'm on, so that I have just a base point where that increase happens, so I can count it from there, so I know how many rows have happened before I do my next increase. Well, I worked the second increase in this set, and I misread my knitting. And I, for some reason, looked at this and thought I had missed the first increase of the set. And I panicked. And I said, well, I'm not ripping out, I'll just drop down and insert it. The gauge is loose enough, it'll accept it. And so I did. During my lunch break, in a fit that I'd made a mistake, and I couldn't get it picked back up. I could not insert that increase and bring my work back up. And time was ticking, which causes anxiety, and you make more mistakes. And I knew that my time was about to be up and I had to go punch back into work. And I kept doing it, and I kept doing it, and I kept doing it. And I finally gave up, and I put a locking stitch marker on the stitch that I had dropped down to and said, all right, when I get home, I'll take some time, I'll focus on it, I'll figure out what I'm doing wrong, and I'll do that increase and I'll bring it back up, and then I'll be ready for the second increase. So this morning I took that time and I sat down and I put that increase in and I brought it right back up, and everything was brilliant until I looked at it to see where do I put the second increase, and realized I misread my knitting. I had the increase in there already, now I've doubled the increase, and I need to drop back down and take that increase back out. Stress knitting, or knitting under pressure, can do this to me. It may do it to you, where you just aren't taking the time to see what's in front of you. You don't stop once you see an error and really define what's happened there. Is it really a mistake? Have I really blown it up? Do I really need to make a change? And I've done this to myself before. Interestingly enough, this happened almost immediately after I had a thought about a lifeline. It always happens that way. I swear my subconscious tells me to put in a lifeline as soon as there's a problem. If you're not familiar with lifelines, I'm going to do a demonstration in the future. I'm pretty sure I've got a demonstration already on YouTube for lifelines, but I will cover it again. A lifeline basically is putting in even just a piece of dental floss across all the stitches at a point where you know your project is correct, and then continuing past that so that you have a safety point to go back down to. This is a simple project. It's really a smart, clever design. You have texture in here, you've got a simple repeat in here, and reasonably you're not going to make a mistake. But mistakes happen, as I've been reminded, and having that lifeline in there and being able to just snap the needle out, pull the stitches back neat and clean, wind them back onto the ball, put that needle back in where that lifeline is, and start fresh from that safe point is very, very helpful. I had promised also last week I had acquired new needles. I'm very excited about my Addy lace clicks. I had promised that I was going to test those and I was going to change out this needle and do that. However, I forgot to do that after filming last week and packed this up and put it in my bag for work. And Monday I was in the car and said, oh, I was supposed to change the needle. I'll do that tonight. And Tuesday I was in the car and went, oh, I forgot to take my bag out and change the needle. And Wednesday and Thursday, and here I am with the original needle still in, and I haven't tested those Addies yet. So, I promise, absolutely, I refuse to fail this time. I will change out this needle as soon as I'm done filming this episode while I'm waiting for it to transmit over to my laptop for editing. And I will have a report about those Addy clicks next week. Promises. But my progress markers have been really super useful this week. It was nice to see how much progress I had made, and it was nice to have a marker to help me read my stitches to see where my next increase was, rather than counting rows in my head. I could just stop and go, feels about right, look at it, oh yeah, I got one more row and I'm going to do my increase. I encourage you to use progress markers, and let's take this one out right now. Actually, I'm not going to take it out. I want to be able to compare what I did this week against last week. Let me see if I have any kicking around here. Those are bookmarks. I have 100 tins full of stitch markers, but never what I need when I need it. There they are. And I have some really beautiful progress markers. Donna over at Knitting with Attitude gifted me with a lovely project bag and some beautiful stitch markers and some progress keepers. And I simply haven't put them into use yet. This is a very lightweight project, and her progress marker had this beautiful big bead on it. I feel like it's a little heavy for this project. It's perfect for my sweater, so I'll be adding that to my sweater. This particular progress marker often comes for free with projects, with needles rather, and it's like a safety pin. Let me see if I can show you. It's like a safety pin. It's this little loop that closes like a safety pin but doesn't have a coil on it. It looks more like it could go over a needle. And I'm just going to open that pin up and I'll put it around a stitch on the row I'm on right now. Slip that in there. And I'm going to lock it back up. And I know if I lock it that it's safe, it's on there, it's super lightweight, it's not going to snag anything. And now I've got one from, wow, it's way down here, from last week and one for next week, so I know where I'm at. So that's exciting. Now I can see exactly what I've accomplished. So let's get that tucked away. Again, this scarf is the Curiosity scarf by Barbara Benson. It's available on Ravelry. Elegant, pretty texture, easy format, kind of a knit it as long or as short as you want. You really don't have to be very mindful of how much yarn do I have left until you get to the very end. You can end it just about anywhere. So it's kind of one of those finish the ball scarves, which is exciting as well. Highly recommend that. Okay, so let's see. We talked about my sweater. We talked about my blanket. Yay. We talked about my travel knitting, that Curiosity scarf, travel knitting. So I've discovered about myself that I have to kind of have a project on deck. As you're obviously aware, I've got projects that I'm working on, and they're all over the place. Each one fulfills a different timestamp in my day, in my life. I really need a travel one constantly for my commute, for my lunches, and it does need to be something simpler rather than something that I gotta stare at a chart and make sure I know where I am. Socks are perfect. They're small, they're lightweight, I can stuff them in a tight bag, I can carry them to work with me, and for the most part they're relatively mindless. So I discovered the reason I cast on this scarf was I didn't have an appropriate travel project. I had my sweater, which you've seen the bag, I hefted up, it's huge. You've seen my blanket, I've got it in this beautiful big bin, it's huge. These are not car knitting projects. I wanted something small, and you knew that I had been working on my hats. Those are nice and small and convenient, but I need something going forward, and if I don't have something on deck that I can grab that's ready to go, I'm late for work because I get startitis, and then I'm running around in my studio trying to figure out what ball of yarn is already caked, what do I want to do with it, do I have the pattern, do I need a pattern? And I do this crazy pacing run around thing, and I can burn 15 minutes like that doing that. Whereas if I take a little bit of time on my weekend when I know I'm getting close to the end of a project to set up another project and have it in another bag, another project bag ready to go, I can grab it and go. And it also provides me that project timeout release. Sometimes you just get tired of working on a project, whether it's the magnitude of the project or it's the monotony of the project. Sometimes you just need to hop to a different project. Sometimes it is, I'm working on dark yarn and my next knitting opportunity is also during a dark period of time and it's just going to fatigue me. I need to be able to see what I'm doing. I want to knit, but I need something else to knit on. This is a great opportunity to have multiple project bags and projects on deck, and to really be mindful of knitting conditions, that sometimes you need mindless knitting and sometimes you need something that's a little bit more intricate to keep your interest. So knowing that I have this horrible thing where I pace in circles and blow all kinds of time in the morning looking for a project to do frantically, I'm going to start setting up some projects, and I'm not talking 3, I'm talking 1, maybe 2, that are just projects on deck that I can quick grab and go with. And I have been wanting for a long time to knit a legitimate pair of socks for my husband. What do I mean by legitimate? So I've knit him socks. I have knit him socks since I very first started to knit, but they're like bed socks or casual scruff around the house socks. They're not socks that he would wear with a pair of shoes or boots. They are socks that he wears when he's out camping on his motorcycle and sleeping in a sleeping bag in the middle of the woods freezing, which I don't understand. I'm a roughing it in a motel kind of girl. And he loves his socks. He loves his socks, but I would like to knit him a really nice pair of socks. And I've recently done some measurements and figured out what I need to do differently from my socks versus his socks to fit my feet versus his feet. And I think I'm going to put a simple ribbed sock on the needles and get that going for him. And he generally is a boot wearer. He works kind of in an industrial sort of environment. So I know that they're moisture wicking. I know that they are self-acclimating. He's not going to sweat to death in them, even though they're wool. Or he will wait until cooler weather and wear them and be very happy. He goes on walks every day during his lunch break, and he has this great big long route that he walks every day. So I know that they'll be comfortable for him, and I want to gift him with a nice pair of socks. So I'm excited about that project as well. It'll be fun to do it, and because he wears boots and long jeans every day, I know that I can do them in a funky color and have a good time with them and make some really fun socks for him that he won't find embarrassing. So that's projects on deck. Design work. I showed you guys my hat. This would be the hat that the gauge is wrong on and is entirely too big, but tucked underneath is the hat that was done in the correct gauge, and it's done. Both of the patterns, both Dumbledore's Army and Order of the Phoenix, are being teched right now, and I'm waiting to get that data back. As soon as I get that data back, I'll do a final write of it, any corrections, that sort of thing, and then I'm going to get them out to my test knitters. I'm sorry guys, I don't have a date yet. As soon as I've got them done, they'll be coming out to you. As soon as I've got them done. I'm excited about them. I know you guys are. I've gotten great messages from you. A lot of you have volunteered to test. You are welcome to contact me. I have not closed out test knitters. If 100 of you decide that you want to test, I will make sure that you get the pattern. Both patterns, both Dumbledore's Army and Order of the Phoenix, will be going out to you, and you can choose to knit whichever one tickles you most. These are knit on DK weight yarns. I am tempted, simply because I knit one on worsted by mistake, to make an alternate, to make a slouchier one. And the slouchier version, I would reduce the number of stitches for the brim, and I would probably needle up a little bit more. I'm going to needle down and reduce stitches for the brim, and needle up and make it so that it can be a slouchy worn hat for people who prefer that style. Whereas this one's really more of a skull cap style. It doesn't look so good stuck on my mani head that way. But I have, just out of pure disappointment that I have a hat that's gauged all wrong, been wearing it around in my studio, and I do find that I like it slouched out, that it's still a very attractive hat. So I am toying with doing a second release in worsted weight with slightly different styling. If that's of interest to you, get a hold of me, encourage me before I let this concept die, and certainly I'll get right on that and see if I can't make that happen. So they're coming, test knitters, hang in there, it's coming. Preferably you will be knitting it before the weather gets cold again. Oh, what else has been going on? Oh, also in design work, I'm toying with a new idea. And it's probably dangerous for me to discuss ideas that I'm toying with, simply because sometimes I toy with them and they become nothing. And I hate to disappoint people, but sometimes if I discuss a design idea that I'm toying with, just by talking about it, edits happen in my head, and it's more likely to come into fruition and be something. And also, if I hear back from you that, hey, you like this idea, I'm more likely to follow through and do it. I'm thinking of a scarf in garter with a little bit of a open work included in it. I'm playing with the idea at this point. I know that I don't want to do stockinette. I like the idea of the garter stitch for a shorter scarf. I'm not talking about a 5-foot scarf. I'm talking about something close to 4 foot. Just because the garter affords a stretchability, it also gives it a grip so that you can have a shorter scarf and it holds itself in place for you. And I just want to add a little bit of open work, not necessarily a lace, but something fun, something different that gives it some appeal, something to look at, some interest. I'm very much considering doing this with 2 fingering weights held together. I went shopping because I desperately need yarn, don't we all? Not that I don't produce yarn and could have produced more yarn for myself. No. There are all these wonderful indie dyers out there, and I buy from you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for creating gorgeous yarns. As an indie dyer myself, I know that what I create is an art, and I know that what you create is an art, and I'm fascinated by the colorways and the things that you guys put together and the names that you give them, and colors that I didn't consider putting together. And I'm right there, I'm buying it. I love it, I love it. But I recently was on Ravelry and I noticed that an indie dyer that I've bought from before, that I've talked to you guys about before, Shannon over at Supernatural Yarns, she's having a sale until the end of the month. She's offering 25% off. I'm going to give you her website here. I'll give you the coupon code as well. Go check her out. She has fiber bats. She has worsted. She has DK. She has fingering. She has project bags. She has stitch markers. She's amazing. She's got everything out there. She even has project bags in drawstring and zip. I mean, she's got everything. She's having the sale. I can never say no to Shannon. And I found two colors that I really liked together. Well, as best I could see. There's colorway here on the screen and colorway down here on the screen. And so I messaged her and I said, do these work together? Are they in the same color family? She stopped everything. She took a photo of the two skeins side by side for me, told me what the base tones were so that I could compare and see if that's what I wanted for my project. Wonderful customer service, really wonderful customer service. I think it's something that all of us do. That if you have questions about our yarns, we're right there. And if you need other photos, if you want to see them together for a project, especially if you're doing like a fade project, or if you're doing a stripe project and want to see how they interplay, contact us. We're there for you. And Shannon is no exception. She's right there. Really, she mentored me, and I learned from one of the best. She's fabulous. She has these two beautiful yarns I couldn't say no to, and I've purchased them. I'm waiting for them to show up. She ships super fast. I expect I may have them by next weekend, and I will show them off to you guys. In the meantime, this concept is brewing where I'm thinking of holding these two colors together just to give the project depth and interest. They're two darker tones. They play well off of each other. They're tonal. They're not highly variegated. And I think that it will lend a warmth and a depth to this that the open work will add a negative space to and really create an interesting piece. We will see if it happens that way, but certainly I'll get to show off some yarns next week, theoretically, assuming that there isn't like weird weather and bad deliveries and stuff. I expect they'll be here. She's usually very fast. So that's coming up in Design Concepts, and I think with this one, what I'd really like to do, as I've done with you guys in the past, is there'll be photos on Instagram as I work along, and I'll be sharing the design process with you a little bit more to show you kind of how I think and what I do when I'm designing these things, to encourage you to write down the things that you're creating. Sell your patterns, get them out there, get them on paper, put them on Ravelry. Even if you're not confident charging, you just don't feel that it's polished enough, offer it free to people if you want. Or hire a tech editor. Tech editors can be very affordable. There are some wonderful services out there. Some people only charge $15 or $25 an hour, and your pattern may only need a minimum charge, a minimum 15-minute increment just to check the math over. If I remember where I found the link, I will link down here for you a resource to find tech editors and to learn more about what tech editors can do for you. This is a fabulous industry, and every one of us has different thoughts and different dreams, and your project is gorgeous and somebody else wants to do it. I just found on Instagram, do you love Instagram? Someone, I don't remember who it was, I'm so sorry if you're a viewer and I'm stepping all over you, my apologies. But I saw this beautiful picture of a scarf that someone is knitting, and she is doing a parade of elephants. Double knit scarf where the elephants are holding trunk to tail, and they're all parading down the length of this scarf. It's double knit, so the colors are reversed on the other side. It's stunning. I love it. If I can get my double knit skills up there, I would knit it in a heartbeat. It's just too cute. And I reached right out to her. What is this pattern? Is it your pattern? Publish it. I will give you money. I will give you money. Because even if I never knit it, I would like to own it just so I can stare at it. Also out there in amazing projects that I've stumbled on recently. If you watch the Sockmatician, Nathan Taylor, he is, I believe he's in the process of writing up and putting together the scarf that he just knit. It's double knit, it has multiple colors, it's multiple Fair Isle charts that he has manipulated. Beautiful, 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 stunning, shocking, turn heads knit project. All of his stuff is gorgeous. But certainly hop over to Sockmatician, take a look at his stuff. His Instagram feed also has pictures of it. Absolutely beautiful. I can't wait for him to do it. Will I ever knit it? Maybe, hopefully. I've been playing with my double knitting techniques. I love the concept of it. I've always loved the concept of it. My struggle is I feel like my tension's still off, which is a practice thing. I need to practice to get better at it. I also feel very much that I'm klutzy with it, and I think that I need to get my rhythm down so that my tension will even out. Nathan coaches, and he has beautiful techniques, and his instruction is impeccable. Really, his videos are wonderful. But he carries one strand on one side, one strand on the other side. And I just can't get it down on the other side. I haven't really given it a college try. I need to get back in there and try it again. I've been carrying both of them on one side. And I fatigue very quickly with the back and the forth and the back and the forth because I'm manually switching them, which you have to do. I think if I can get to his point where I'm carrying them on both sides, I can switch them front and back more readily. I really need... Don't we all need more time to knit in our lives? We all need an extra day in the week to do nothing but sit and knit. I know I do. I need to really have like 4 hours where I don't feel pulled in another direction, that I can sit down and I can dedicate to messing with this technique and getting it down. I still have his Remember Cowl pattern. That is my goal this year. We're up to May. I have gone so far as to take a couple video classes on Craftsy and really come to an understanding with the technique. I have sat down, I've watched his videos, and I've learned his cast on, which is brilliant and easy. It looks so much more complicated than it is. I've practiced that. I cast something on, I found a chart, I started to work it. The chart that I was playing with was a little different. It wasn't... Nathan's charts show all the stitches, if I remember correctly. I think it shows the front and the back of all the stitches. I don't recall now. This one was a simple trivet kind of square, and I had to change colors, and I just don't think I was ready to change as often as this particular pattern was. I was doing it successfully, but my gauge was off, I was feeling overwhelmed. I need to do a simple project again and ease up to it. The beauty of the Remember Cowl is that there's a large section that is straight one color on one side, one color on the other side. So you really get your rhythm down and you really understand it before you start to get in to the color changes. And even then, the color changes are 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches at a time of just reversing the colors, whereas this one I was doing was every other stitch was changing, and I was starting to just fatigue on it. That sample got pulled out. It's wound up. I can use that yarn for other things. I feel better. I've built some of my skill set. My gauge is still a little wonky. I was using worsted weights. I think this is better in finer gauge. I'm going to keep plugging on it. This is my add a skill to my knitting repertoire year, and double knitting it's going to be. And so I rambled a long, long way. The whole point of this ramble was, if you have an idea, if you have created something, if you have knit something, document it, share it. There are other people out there who will appreciate it as clearly I appreciate other people's work. And I'd love to see it. I'd love to hear about it. If you have questions about design, contact me. I will share what I know with you. I don't consider myself an expert, but if anything I tell you is helpful, good to go. What else is going on? Upcoming this next weekend, which would be May 18th, 19th, something like that, the Albuquerque Fiber Arts Fiesta is happening that is local to me. I haven't decided if I'm going yet or not. When I think of Fiber Arts Festival, I think of knitting, crochet, weaving, dyeing, spinning. I think of fiber. The local Fiber Arts Fiesta includes beading, embroidery, soap making, lotion making, and doll making. I believe they also have vendors there from makeup and cookware and that sort of thing. And it just feels a little diluted to me, especially where there's an entry fee to get in. If I want to go and see a fiber festival, I want to go to a fiber festival. And that's my criticism. That's my criticism. Just because I know that it would be making an effort for me to go, to get down there, to find parking, to pay a fee to go in. And there's really only like 5 vendors that are actually selling yarn out of all the vendors there. That it's just disappointing to me. That's my opinion. Like it or lump it. However, there are other fiber festivals happening all across the country. I know, of course, there's others coming up in other areas that I will be attending. I'm looking forward to those. And when I attend fiber festivals, I have learned to really keep myself as unladen as possible, to have my hands free to carry bags. Actually, no, I bring my husband, he carries the bags. To have my hands free to grab fiber, squish fiber, and really compare and handle and touch, as well as meet and greet people and hug. I need to be as unladen as possible without having my poor husband carry my handbag for me, which lends me into the beauties of owning a clutch purse. And I have one here that I love. I use it whenever I do my travels like this. And this one actually very generously was given to me by Rachel at Sweet Pea Pods, etc. And I'm going to give you her Etsy shop address here. She is my sister. She is a very talented sewer. She's got me beat upside down and backwards. I have never made anything this well crafted, not with a sewing machine. I don't work well with sewing machine. We'll get back to that. But she has in here credit card pockets. She's got a divider in here with another whole pouch area. It has a removable wristlet. I'm touching fiber. I'm hugging people. I'm shaking hands. I'm squishing fiber. I'm rifling through patterns. And I have my purse securely wrapped around my wrist. And it has room for everything in here. I can get my wallet in here if I chose to carry it. Otherwise, I've got all these card slots and places for cash. I have places for business cards. I have everything right here. So certainly, if you're looking for an easy way to navigate, or if you're looking for a easy bag that you can stuff in one of your project bags and still have your purse with you and be able to have that flexibility, pop on over to Sweet Pea Pods, etc. Take a look. The fabric choices she has over there are wonderful. There's some really, really pretty fabrics and something for everybody. And not that I'm biased, which I am, I'm sorry. This really is exquisitely sewn together. It is well lined. It is thick and sturdy without being stiff. It's nice. It's really, really nice. It has her label inside. And I know that she just recently opened up her Etsy shop. So go show her some love. Go favorite what you love and let her know, encourage her. She is also the one who made my monkey that I showed you guys last week. And I'm desperately encouraging her to do more felted work and put that in her shop as well. Pop on over, send her a private message, let her know that you saw the monkey and that you would like to see some more of her felted work in there. we could all use a little encouragement in our day, couldn't we? So, flexible, love it. And if I go to the Fiber Festival, that will be around my wrist. This past week I did do some other crafting. I tell a lie. I did some other very frustrating manipulation of fiber-like materials. My husband's preparing to go on a trip. He's an avid motorcyclist and he likes to camp off the back of his motorcycle. I'm not a camper. I don't go with him. These are his adventures, but I make sure that he has everything he needs to go and do this and do it safely and warmly. As I spoke of the socks I've made him in the past, but he's changed up his luggage and his packing a little bit, and he had some new bags that he stows his kitchen in, and he stows his all of his accoutrements in, and he needed some Velcro added to them for better closures. And so I pulled out the sewing machine, and he wonderfully, the engineering mind is amazing. He sat down and he plotted out where all of the Velcro needed to go to turn this into this wonderful compact storage device. And I added all that Velcro to those bags for him. I only swore once. I didn't manage to run over my finger, which I've done before. I did have a couple times where I guess I didn't pull the bobbin tail back, and so it made that knot, and then it slammed down to the throw plate, and you gotta squeak underneath and trim the lines and separate it and pull all the stitches. I'm not a sewer. I'm not a sewer. I did make some repairs to his jacket, his motorcycle jacket as well. These things were a success for the most part. I only had a couple of those nightmares. The computer in my sewing machine only gave me error 1 and error 6 a couple times, and don't know what E1 or E6 mean. I found that if I cleared everything off and turned it back on, the error went away. So I know I should pull out the owner's manual and be more proactive about learning this and get better at this. Either way, I feel like I had a success. I have some courage. I pulled out some other books and patterns that I have, and I feel like this week I have a little bit of free time at the end of the week before I film next episode. I might try a project, and I'm going to talk about it when we get there, success or failure. We will delve into whether or not Jessica can read an owner's manual for a sewing machine. But I'd like to make myself a project bag. I've had fabrics around for a long time. I've just recently learned some new techniques on how to work with a zipper, and I'm gonna do this. I've got a little bit of courage. I have moderate success under my belt. I feel really good about the way the Velcro came out. My seams look good. There's a couple tension issues. I need to pull out the manual. I probably need to change and make sure I've got the right type of needle. But I'm going to give it a go. Worst thing happens is I have wasted some fabric and some thread and some time, and I've done far worse than that. I've thrown whole mismatched, horrible, badly made sweaters away, so what's a little fabric? So I've got projects for this coming week, and I'm excited about them. What are you doing? What are you working on? Talk to me. Share your projects with me. Ask your questions. That's why I'm here. This is ultimately about you. And if you're a mother, thank you for being a mother. It's hard work, and we really appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day. Otherwise, I love all of you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I will see you all next week. Be sure to check out Instagram. You might win something from me. Bye, guys.
Pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it, boom, till the hammer hard.